Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're taking some fascinating source material. You sent us these biographical entries from the Almanac of the Hungarian Parliament, covering 1910 to 1915.
Right. And we're going to extract the key insights, really try and understand what was going on back then.
Exactly. These aren't just, lists of names.
Not at all. This collection, it really gives you a window into the prominent members of the Budapest Diet around 1910.
Yeah, people from the National Labor Party, which was pretty dominant then, right?
Very much so. But also representatives from the Romanian National Party.
So it's a snapshot of a pretty diverse political landscape.
That's the idea.
And our mission for this deep dive, it's not just listing names. We want to understand these key players, their backgrounds.
What drove them politically?
And really get a sense of the political dynamics in the Hungarian parliament at the start of the 20th century, all based on these sort of personal stories.
Okay, so where do we start? It's quite a rich picture.
Well, the first thing that really jumps out is just the sheer number of different political parties.
It wasn't just one or two big blocks, was it?
No, not at all.
It's fascinating how fragmented it seems. I mean, you got the National Labor Party, clearly central.
Yep.
But then the Romanian National Party focused on, ethnic interests.
And the Independence Party. But even that wasn't straightforward.
Right. You had factions within it, like the Casa Party 48 and the Just 48 Party.
Makes you wonder, what were the big disagreements causing these splits?
Exactly. And it seems like politicians didn't just stick with one party forever.
No, there's quite a bit of movement, shifting allegiances.
Which is interesting in itself, isn't it, this fluidity?
Yeah.
Was it about changing ideas or more about practical politics, finding influence?
Could be a mix of both, I suppose.
We see examples like Count Andrassy Gyula.
Mm-hmm.
He left the Liberal Party, then came back later.
And Apani Albert, he seems to have moved around a bit too.
Definitely. And Baron Banfi Deso, he led a government under the Liberals, but then started his own new party.
What do these shifts tell us, really, about the system itself, its stability?
Well, it certainly wasn't static.
Yeah.
And a lot of it seems tied to that core debate about Hungary's relationship with Austria.
Ah, yes. The Platform 67 versus Platform 48 thing.
Exactly. Platform 67 supporters were more aligned with the Austro-Hungarian Compromise.
Keeping things more integrated within the empire.
Right. Whereas Platform 48, that was about pushing for greater Hungarian independence, maybe even full separation eventually.
You see figures kind of embodying these positions, don't you?
You do. Like Aponi Albert starts off sort of linked to 67, but clearly has strong national feelings.
Whereas Kossuth Ferenc, well, with that name.
He's firmly in the 48 camp, leading the independence part of the 48. It was a central tension.
Okay, let's maybe dive into some of these key individuals a bit more. Count Andrassy Gyula, for instance. That name carries weight.
Absolutely. Son of a former prime minister, that gives him instant prominence.
And he had this early diplomatic career too, didn't he? Constantinople, Berlin.
Suggests a broader perspective, yeah.
Yeah.
He came into parliament as a liberal, but then got involved in challenging the Banfi government over conflicts of interest.
Which actually led him to leave the Liberal Party for a while.
Made you wonder what the specific issues were that made him take such a strong stand, right?
He was involved in sorting out an inter-party agreement, rejoined the Liberals. Then there was that crisis after the 1905 election.
And he was appointed Homo Regis.
Yeah, basically the king's representative to try and fix things. He served as interior minister later.
And was key in forming the National Labor Party.
The fact he got elected unanimously in 1910 says a lot about his standing then.
It really does. His career path mirrors the political shifts of the time.
Okay, then there's Count Aponi Albert, famous for his speeches, apparently.
Legendary order, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The biographies really emphasize that.
He started focused on foreign policy, economics,
Mm-hmm.
but became a big voice for national aspirations.
Yes, even opposing the Banfi government on military and economic stuff.
It's interesting how he evolved from maybe more moderate to a real champion of national interests.
Led the Chamber of Deputies, revived the National Party, joined the Kossuth Party. It's quite a journey.
And those international speaking tours, trying to get Hungary's side heard abroad.
A big deal back then. Like Andrassy, he was a minister, consistently represented Jazz Brainy, and won by a huge margin in 1910.
All right, what about Baron Banfi Deso? Different background.
Yeah, more administrative. He was a prefect before becoming prime minister.
His time in charge was marked by those church policy laws. Caused a stir.
A big stir. His government faced huge obstruction, led to his resignation.
But he came back later, didn't he? With his own party.
Yes, the new party, pushing for universal suffrage. That's a fascinating twist.
So after being part of the liberal establishment, he pivots towards suffrage reform.
Suggests he saw the way the wind was blowing, maybe, and being unanimously reelected in 1910, but as an independent. Quite remarkable.
Definitely. Okay, we absolutely have to talk about István Tisza, another huge name.
From another major political dynasty,
Yeah.
very active in Bihor County, economically and politically, long parliamentary career.
And he took a more moderate line on that conflict of interest law early on.
He did. Then, as prime minister, he tried to change the House rules to restore order, basically.
Which backfired spectacularly, didn't it? Caused huge controversy.
Oh, yes. Major political fallout. That's when Andrassy left the Liberals. Parliament got dissolved.
But Tisza was central in forming the National Labour Party after that.
Absolutely. And showed his clout by winning in 2 constituencies in 1910, Ugra and Arad. Had to give one up, of course.
And then Ferenc Kossuth, carrying that name.
The son of Lajos Kossuth, he was actually an engineer, worked abroad for years.
Before coming back to champion the independence cause.
Led the Independence Party, played a big role in the obstruction movement against various governments.
He was even a minister for a short time.
Briefly, yes. Then he formed his own, maybe more hardline faction, the Independence Party 48 Kossuth.
But still a powerful opposition voice, unanimously elected in 1910, shows the power of that legacy.
And he was involved in journalism, too, using the press to push the cause.
Right. One more key figure from this group, Kalman Sel.
Ah, Sel. Really made his mark early as Minister of Finance.
Major reforms under his belt, right. Financial administration, nationalizing railways.
The Austro-Hungarian bank reorganization. Yeah, he clearly knew his stuff when it came to finance and administration.
Even after being finance minister, he stayed influential, opposing policies sometimes.
Yes,
Yeah.
and helped set up financial institutions. Apparently refused the finance job multiple times later on, chaired key committees,
Became prime minister himself eventually.
and achieved quite a bit. The economic compromise, Supreme Court laws, House rules again, trade relations, child welfare, even the Conflict of Interest Act.
Busy premiership. Resigned eventually, but still got reelected as an independent in 1910.
His reputation for competence clearly carried a lot of weight.
So, looking at all these figures, it's pretty clear that by 1910, this National Labour Party was a very big deal.
Oh, absolutely. So many of the people we've just talked about ended up in his ranks.
That list of Labour MPs elected in 1910, it's extensive.
Andras disbanding his own group to join, Tisza being instrumental, Kuhn Hedervary leading them to that big 1910 victory. It's a major consolidation of power.
And interesting that the list includes MPs with diverse backgrounds, even Romanian names popping up under the Labour banner.
Yes, what does that suggest? Was the party trying to be a big tent, or was it more strategic?
Good question, which leads us nicely to the Romanian National Party members mentioned in these biographies.
Right, this gives us a look at how this specific ethnic group was engaging politically within the Hungarian system.
We see names like Bertius Szilard, Shukan Ioan, Damian Vessel, others identified as Romanian.
And often representing areas with, significant Romanian populations. Makes sense.
The biographies sometimes even mention specific ethnic political dynamics.
Like Berdia defeating someone described as a Romanian agitator.
Yeah. And Mongra getting attacked by Romanian radicals because he ran for the Labour Party.
Shows the internal tensions within the Romanian community, too, perhaps about strategy.
And Mihaly Teodor's imprisonment, connected to the Cluj Memorandum trial.
That really highlights the underlying tensions around Romanian national aspirations and the pushback from the state. It wasn't an easy situation.
Definitely not. Okay, beyond the big political players and parties, there are some just, fascinating little stories tucked away here.
Oh yeah, those details really bring it to life. Like Baron Duca Geza,
All those diplomatic postings and international decorations must have had quite the career.
or Förster Aurel being called the parliamentary humorist.
You just have to wonder what his jokes were like in that context.
Right. And Kuhn Hedervary combining his name and coat of arms, plus that revolt in Croatia during his time as Band A. Sounds like a hotspot.
And spotting Kumbela, involved in student politics and journalism back then. Knowing what came later, it's kind of chilling almost.
Seeing those early steps, it really humanizes history, doesn't it?
It does. Popovici Vasil Stefan writing extensively in Serbian, working on flood control.
Shows the range of expertise. Or Sojka Kalman, lifelong liberal supporter, switches to national labor because of some county-level argument.
Politics is local, right?
Always.
Yeah.
And Wenkheim Laszlo defeating Octavian Goga, a major literary figure in his constituency.
Wow. Plus, you see a younger Tissa Kalman getting elected for the first time.
And Peter Mihaly taking over the seat his father held for 45 years.
A real political dynasty there.
Absolutely.
And just looking at the elections themselves, it wasn't always straightforward.
No, you see unanimous elections suggesting total dominance in some areas.
But then really close races, like Serban Miklos just scraping by.
And people like Erdeli Sandor and Istvan Tissa getting elected in 2 places at once.
Had to choose which seat to take. Shows their widespread popularity, I guess.
Or maybe just very effective campaigning across different areas. It highlights the varied electoral dynamics across the country.
So let's try and wrap this up, this deep dive into these biographies. It gives a really compelling snapshot, doesn't it?
It really does. A complex, dynamic period in Hungarian politics.
You see the shifting parties, the rise of the National Labor Party as this major force.
The presence and the struggles of the Romanian representatives.
And just this fascinating cast of characters, really. Diverse backgrounds, different ambitions, all shaping the political scene.
Yeah, these small biographical details, they remind you that history is made by individuals, their choices, their drives, interacting with these larger forces.
Okay, so that leads us to our final thought for you, the listener. Looking at these individuals, these shifts, what might you predict for the Hungarian parliament and maybe the whole region in the years after 1915?
Based on these trajectories, what tensions seem likely to escalate? What patterns look set to continue or break?
Something to think about.
Yeah.
And if any of these figures or events caught your interest.
Definitely dig deeper. There's always more to uncover when you look into the past like this.